Welcome back, you filthy exiles. So we just had another huge patch. It was about like 600 or 700 megabytes. So it's a big patch, right? 0.1.0D as we've got here. Now, exactly what I've been saying is there are a lot of balance issues. This is quite big for what it is right now. This is not as big as it could be, but it's still quite big, right? So basically, the biggest thing here that I can see just off the cuff, Boneshatter has been made more reliable, and also passive block chance now applies to blockable hits from all directions. This means passive block is in the 75% passive block that you scale. So previously it was only working in one direction from the front, which is the same way that active block works, right? This is not good. Like, this is why like playing shield builds felt like crap. Basically, you had to like be front facing the enemy, which is fine for bosses, right? Not so fine for all the enemy packs coming at you. This is actually going to be quite significantly noticeable on melee builds, hopefully. And I'm keen to play warrior again. Right now I'm playing a warrior with a quarterstaff, which quite frankly is ridiculously good. The quarterstaff is awesome in the original like Act 1, 2, 3 playthrough. And I have a video I'll be putting out later about my thoughts about like game balance and things like that. And we're just going to be coming at it from strictly a common sense standpoint, right? But anyway, we got everyone. We just need to take the emotion away from everything at this stage. Let's have a look at these patch notes in detail. Okay, so first of all, passive block buff. That's good, right? I like it. They must not have put out the change to the 0 unit change for dodge roll, so this is now coming in, and it also means that you can now push enemies away with dodge roll as well, which is really good. Basically, they're buffing up the inscribed ultimatums to make it so that you can see the ascendancy point, whether it's relevant, whether it's available or not, which is good. So basically, the tokens that you get that drop, that's going to be able to be seeable now. Remove world map pins for encounters that were not not from specific locations and areas from monster drops. Yep. Improved attack in place behavior. That's good. I like that. That was that name locking problem from yesterday. Renovaras and Firestorm now have a hit rate limit to prevent cases of them absolutely obliterating large bosses. They did change cast on trigger. Now, technically, it could be better on bosses, not as good on map clear, which is fine. I'm okay with that. Leech has been buffed, even better for melee again. Boneshatter buffed. Armor break buffed. It now lasts for 12 seconds instead of 6 seconds, which is good. That's good for melee, so you don't have to hit it as much, which means using the skill triggers is a lot better. Improved performance of Incinerate now creates circular areas of ignited ground. I feel like Incinerate is going to be like a sleeper build because I'm really keen for it. There's some QOL changes in here just around currency exchange. You can now, there's now a button to travel to the Trial of Chaos directly, which is good on the world map. Some art changes, just some, again, QOL, as in quality of life, more quality of life. Runes now sell for more gold. This is good early on, because if you get useless runes, you can offload them and get better gear earlier on. Again, more quality of life, more quality of life, more quality of life. Wording changes, description changes, not really relevant. This one's a big one. Reduce the defense provided to monsters by magma barrier modifiers. This was like impossible. You could not get through their defense. This is now being fixed. This was actually a problem in Path of Exile 1 originally, so they've just made the same problem in the second game as well, the exact same thing. Understandably, it's EA, right? That's what we got to come back to. There's a lot of balance that's still to come. Walking Goliaths no longer use their suicide attack if they are rare. This is good. Basically, that would one-shot you, so it's really good. Now, the big thing that's going to annoy a ton of players, and I can understand why. There's two sides to this argument, right? It's overtuned, and it's too powerful, right? Is one, which is why they're retuning trigger gems, right? Now, one of the problems they identified here as the previous system is that if they balance it to make trigger happen in boss fights, then the trigger would happen far too often during clearing. So basically they now scaled the trigger off of the monster power, so like the level of the monsters, to calculate the level of energy gained. This means that it's far easier to trigger skills from unique monsters than it is from normal monsters, and I'm okay with that, because that's where you need it the most, right? This means that it's far, but you also hit many more normal monsters when fighting, so you're going to trigger it just as consistently. I think the extreme of that, it's broken, is probably too far. It's just not going to be as fast as what it was before, because again, it's not about zooming. And I actually like the end game for the methodical way the end game works, right? Looking at things critically, and I'll cover off on this later in my video that I've got coming. I'm playing through like T3 or T5 maps right now, right? And progressing further. That's a third of the way through to T15. And then we've got T16 are corrupted. They're the really high end, but my character is still relatively low level and needs to be geared. So T5 is pretty good. I love the mapping system. The end game is the goal of Path of Exile in even the developers' eyes. Like if we look at the original content announcement, like from a month ago or whatever it was now, they are aware like 80 to 90% of the time spent is in the end game, not in the campaign. And we keep basing things on the campaign. It's the freaking end game that we should be focused on. So they are fixing up these things to balance better in the end game, because that's where you want that climb. And I really like the way the end game works. I like everything from Act 4 through to end game. I think it's really good. I just think the start needs improvement, right? The difficulty is, it's not a difficulty problem. It's a balance issue. Keep coming back to that. And I hate that get good argument. There are some people who can't get good, right? There are people with problems with their hands and things like that. They can't get good. So there's got to be a reasonable level of balance so everybody can play the game. And that's what the developers have expressed in the very start. It's a game for everybody, right? There should be no segmentation of our community. Now, Ultimatum changes. So they basically generally improve the balance across the board with Ultimatum monsters, bosses, and modifiers, mostly targeting outliers that were too difficult. This was a problem. Ultimatum was really, really difficult. Though I actually almost did it on the third run through, and then my computer shut down randomly, and then my network went out. And then I just felt like fate didn't want me to do it. But anyway, monster density's now been tuned because it was too dense, which is good. Also, the actual modifiers have been tuned as well because they were overtuned, right? They're acknowledging that. That's not me making that comment. That's in the patch notes. There's also a bug where minions got stuck, and this happened constantly with my Skelly Archers. But yeah. Now, as far as bug fixes, this is just like all like random stuff across the board. I'll let you guys read it through. I'll put a link in the description. But there are a ton of bug fixes that they've put in, indicating, again, we come back to the game is very far from perfect right now. They're aware of it. That's why it's in EA, or the better word, I wish they wouldn't have called it EA. I wish they would have called it beta. That's what we're in right now. Things are going to constantly change. What we experienced this week could be totally different next week, and totally different the next week after that, totally different the week after that, until we get to a point where everybody's on the same page. And this is why I'm a little disappointed in everybody at the moment with their behaviors, from content creators through to the general community, through to, you know, certain PoE1 players, through to people new to the game, is because we're supposed to be working together as a team, as a community, to provide reasonable feedback to fix these problems. And we can't do that if everybody's shitposting and arguing online about I was going to say the F word, but I don't want to go there because then my video cops it. But basically, and I want to try and keep this clean, but everybody just needs to bring the emotions down and work together. And then we get these fixes, which is the productive stuff that makes the game fantastic. And that's where my headspace is at the moment. Anyway. If you like this type of video, I'm going to keep making them because they're really, I think they're value. And also, I like going through these patch notes because it consolidates my knowledge of the game as well. But yeah, if you like this type of video, don't forget to like and sub to the channel, and or leave a comment below. Try and keep it civil in the comments below, right? Just work with each other, right? Everyone just needs to understand both sides of the argument. There's always two sides to every argument. And part of reaching an amicable outcome is understanding both. Anyway, I'll see you guys later, and have a good one.